What's going on, world? Floyd Banks over here, chilling, playing some Yakuza. Oh shit. Yakuza Kiwami 2. Actually, while the while the property worker, I had him chilling over here. Not that we're like buddies or anything like that, but I can relate to him just a tad bit, where it's basically he's living far away from home because he's living he's trying to live where the money's at, and where the money's at is in this location right here because it's closest to the border. And he's living far away from his family. He actually lost his car, so I think he's sleeping in the landlord's truck, if I'm not mistaken. So I let him like chill here, let him warm up a little bit, let him chill. He get to watch wrestling, have Monday Night Raw on, and then after Raw was over, they had this show called I think it's Dangerous Heart or something like that, Dangerous Breed or something like that. And it's basically about this pro wrestler Teddy Hart. If you don't know about Teddy Hart, he's one of the most talented. I want to say he's a third generation superstar. There's not a lot of, when you hear about a lot of third generation wrestlers, the biggest star you hear is The Rock. The Rock is the biggest third generation star in wrestling. But as far as like wrestlers, there's a laundry list of third generation wrestlers, and he's regarded as like one of the best in-ring performers. And unfortunately, he was one of many, I should say one of few, who followed the inspirations of Dynamite Kid. And if a lot of people don't know about Dynamite Kid, he was one half of the British Bulldogs with Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog. And he was regarded as like one of the best wrestlers to lace a pair of boots. Goes in and has like perfect matches every time, blah 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 blah. But if you also know about him, he's a man that basically put his everything into wrestling, and even taking away other qualities like being a good father, like being a good husband, like being a good human being, being a good friend, etc. And for that, it caused a rift between a lot of people, especially when Dynamite Kid's body started to give out on him due to like more than likely steroid problems, because he was using steroids and drug addiction, drug abuse, and a lot of wrestlers who kind of fall into that realm. Another one being Chris Benoit. People don't like what I say, but he's one of those guards that follow the footsteps of Dynamite Kid. And in the end, it turned out for the worse when he ended up murdering his entire family. But watching this whole Teddy Hart, and I guess it's a multi-part series, I'm like, damn, that's crazy. But watching the first part, it honestly, when I think about it, it reminds me of my situation a little bit. It wasn't as extreme as Teddy Hart, because this person wasn't an extreme person like Teddy Hart. But as far as like behaviors goes, like, I'll be told like, yeah, we can do this, we can do that, have all these ideas and blah, 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 blah. But I'm supposed to just, in their minds, and it's like that a lot. I mean, I noticed that with a lot of people, and especially when I fuck with my neighbor mentally, just to like get her to admit certain things. Um, a lot of times they expect people to do shit for them. They expect people to make shit happen for them. Um, because you were always oiled up, you really helped the people get along. Monsters like potatoes. But when I was watching this documentary, and I noticed a lot of the behaviors, you can tell like it's definitely a lot of drug abuse. Um, Part of it could be due to steroids, because the guy looked like the guy is physically jacked, like in his prime when he looked his very best. He was definitely very jacked to the brim. And word has it that it was supposed to be him. It was originally supposed to be him and Harry Smith to be a part of the New Heart Foundation, but in the end, it ended up being Tyson Kidd because things didn't work out for Teddy Hart. But what was crazy is that like one of the things he did, and that was like one of those. This is what I'll try to explain to a lot of models, especially when you're going towards that OnlyFans realm. Um, I'll even explain this to a friend that wanted to get into like OnlyFans. I'm like, look, the thing with OnlyFans is that a lot of the shit that gets paid is shit that people fabricate. It could be a dose of reality, but it's not complete reality. And when it's not, who knows when that is coming in. I'm getting this mock interview correct, so I'm happy. But it's just like basically what he's done is he had his chick, and he convinced his chick, probably through force and through drugs. He convinced her that they could add another chick. It can make for good television, and it can make for good television, and just it could probably it'll definitely catapult them to newer heights, because in the end, like, that was kind of what they were all striving for when they were trying to do this reality show, is one, trying to basically resurrect his career. Not that at that time his career needed resurrecting, but a lot of what was going on with him, kind of like, and it's his reputation wise, like, yeah, he needed a new spark to really kind of show him in better light. And so he had this chick, this blonde. You can tell, like, she would hate the coke scene. You can tell, like, she was a little coke fiend. And yeah, like, basically hopped on this other chick, and basically she went on and said that, yeah, I did this because I answered this ad. They was looking for another model, basically to play another lover, another love interest in this reality show. This is something that she wanted to do, and this is something that I was trying to tell my boy. This is why you get into contract relationships, because you get into contract relationships just so you can guarantee yourself that you can create something with somebody, and if things go sour, you can always bask out. You can always bask out the relationship, and if things reach its point, you're at least you're guaranteed the money. You guarantee she has money, and then you can re-up another relationship if y'all want, if y'all need. And so, but that's kind of what people do, especially with reality TV. If you didn't know, Love and Hip Hop kind of tells you they assign people, they assign like rappers chicks. They assign like, and it's usually like a washed up rapper. It's usually like a rapper that had some type of buzz. They usually assign them with a chick, unless a rapper with a buzz has a chick, that's TV friendly, that could really capture fans on TV. That's what they look for. They don't really want a basic chick. They don't want an average chick. A chick that wakes up, cooks for her kids, leaves the remains in the fridge, then they go to work. They work all damn day, then they come home. They're tired. They would eat something in the oven or in the refrigerator, watch some TV, maybe smoke, and go to sleep. They're boring. And that's kind of how Hollywood sees reality, in some of these chicks. That's why I like when, I'm sitting there, I'm looking at all you women, and, y'all have y'all daily lives, and y'all show y'all lives with y'all children, and then y'all show y'all fun lives, and then, you have these boring jobs. It's like, what's the point of exposing your life like that? Showing off your life and showing how average you are. If you show off how average you are, yeah, it's cool when you see it amongst your friends, but what about when you're trying to go out and you make something new of yourself, make something different of yourself? Now you basically told them your secrets, and you basically told them who you are, that you're basically average, and there's no reason for you to be anything more than average. And that's why, like, some of y'all need to kind of stop advertising your jobs. Like, yeah, we get it. You're a registered nurse. They're needed all across the globe, but that's the most average job that anybody could have, next to being a cashier at some commercial joint. They don't look for stuff like that. They look for like chicks that are like outgoing, chicks that are like to take photos all the damn time. They like going shopping all the damn time. They're always fashionable all the damn time. They always look for chicks that are just outgoing. They don't want average chicks that have to go to work. Blah. That's not what they're looking for. And so when they do these reality shows, they're trying to make the people on the show like entertaining. With their entertaining lives. Obviously, one girl wants to be a wrestler, the other guy is a wrestler and a coach, and so here he is trying to present this presentation, and he got a guy with criminal records. And what's crazy is that like the girls went on and did this little side interview, basically saying that it was cool until we started doing this TV show. And that only kind of was a part of this relationship because I was told it was going to be on TV. The other girl said, and that's kind of the mindset that a lot of these TV couples have is they do it for TV to try to over exaggerate themselves, but then when they we're at a certain level, we're at a certain height, it's like, what's next? To a lot of them, it's like they don't even know. Oh, okay. It sounds like she went to like Korea or something like that. Oh, never mind. I wanted to ask her if she ate good curry. I'm doing a mock interview, and you have the illusion to answer questions and stuff, and it's fun because it takes away from the fighting. And it's a little brain teaser. Sometimes I wish that I could do a little bit more, but it is what it is. The video. And so what's even crazier is that what drew me the most was when I watched the trailer. Yeah, blase, Teddy Hart, I knew about him. Yeah, bad boy of the Hart family, blah, blah, blah. And then, what was crazy was, they showed, like, it looked like he was gonna, like, film, like, a porno or something. Or, like, because at one point they was filming him and his two girls, and they were, like, in the bathtub getting, like, butt naked. They were in thongs and stuff, but because it's this mentality that, like, sometimes, like, you have the camera and you can do whatever the fuck you want. And obviously they say that he smokes a lot of weed, and if you smoke a lot of weed, a lot of times you're smoking a lot of weed to protect you from drug addiction that could take you on an alternative ride that you don't want to go on. Like you can smoke a lot of weed to prevent yourself from like smoking like any other drug. Some people like smoke. Some people will pretend to smoke a lot of weed and actually smoke a lot. They'll smoke a little bit less than you normally would. Then you might see them like they might hit it, but then like might collect it, and they might exhale it just so they're not trying to get high. Because sometimes you don't want to get high, you don't want to like get down, you don't want to get low, you want to stay up because you probably hooked on some other drug, some other upper that's getting you going. But yeah, they say that he smoked a lot of weed, like he was just smoking weed and this and that. But the one thing I know is with weed, and I've been in a lot of scenarios with weed, I might lose my train of focus if I'm like doing a serious project, especially if I'm smoking a lot of indica. But never to the point where like I'm putting on this front, pretending like I'm something that I'm not, or I have this atmosphere when I really don't. Because it's crazy how like 1 minute like you got this and that, next minute you sitting there trying to do stuff and you end up in jail because you were running from the law. They got you running from the law. It's just a crazy thing. And then like a lot of times too, when when like you're I noticed too, like he had a temper issue. A lot of times when I noticed a lot, especially with wrestlers in the past, when you do a lot of steroids, you tend to have a lot of anger issues. Not to say that you already have anger issues, but because you're so used to the rage, the roid rage. Now that your body's not going through roid rage, sometimes like you just kind of you gotta do it, and then you just don't really know like how to control your rage. And that becomes a problem for a lot of people, especially when you do a lot of steroids. That's why, like I was telling the homie, I was like, there's nothing amazing. There's nothing more amazing than like going back and rewatching a lot of those wrestling promos in the '80s, because you fail to realize there's a huge difference between doing promos on coke and doing promos and not doing promos on coke. And when you do promos on coke, you get your Randy Savage, you get your Hulk Hogan's, you get your Ultimate Warriors, you get your Legion of Dooms, you get all of that. You get your Stings, you get I can't say Flair does it. He may do it, but they like certain things some people just won't admit to. They'll admit to heavy drinking, but like I don't know how a man can live a lifestyle he can live, still live a lifestyle he can live, and not say that he hasn't done it. And he has the perfect nose to do it. But it's crazy because it was one of those things that like I wouldn't mind trying myself had I not heard stories about like how like there's like a low supply, how like there's like there's like coke forests that were burnt down. There was a plantation that was seized, so like they had to like mix it, especially with fentanyl. The coke prices, mixed with fentanyl to the point where like it would you wouldn't get a lot of times when you get distributors, when you distribute it, you won't be able to like what am I gonna say? You won't be able to like really kind of survive it. And if you do, you kind of live a fiendish life, lifestyle, because you don't even realize that your coke is mixed. Basically it's cut with fentanyl. You don't really know because that was how they were like distributing it. You can get it by yourself, but when you hear something as bad as that, it's almost as bad as crack. Some people say it's worse. I tend to believe it is because it's one of those things that like you can hide. You can hide in prescription pills, and you can get addicted to that shit. But man, like just thinking about the filmmaker and like the stuff that he's going through, because he's the one banking on trying to like make a breakthrough independent film. And when you spend 10 years trying to build one documentary, basically what he got was what was I gonna say? Basically, he spent 10 years trying to make a documentary, and for some, that's That's way too long. Especially for a wrestler that small time. Now, it's one thing if like you were making a documentary like The Rock, you spent like 10 years, that you trying to make the best documentary you possibly can. That makes perfect sense. But even still, like, you still want you still want at least like a pilot to be able to launch when it's time to launch. Yeah. So when you spend like 10 years shooting a documentary, especially if you're not profiting off of nothing, and you're like way past your budget, and you have to like make money elsewhere to put into that project, especially into someone that's not really producing it. They're just kind of being the subject, and so he's a subject of the film, and he's not paying a dime. So you have this film producer paying for everything, and he has to like take from his other job. 10 years, it's a lot. Especially if you have nothing to like really take from it. If you have nothing to really take from it besides evidence for a missing woman case, other than that, you just really wasting money. And I've been through there, man. Like, because sometimes they'll just sit there and like, as long as they don't have to spend a dime, they will drain your money just so you can build their portfolio. And you're building and you're building, and they're sitting there, oh yeah, blah 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 blah, yada yada yada, blah yada yada yada. And all in all, yeah, they might feel it for that moment, but afterwards, they're just like, they're in their own world. And that was basically kind of what you kind of saw Teddy. He was just in his own world. And you can see why a lot of people don't fuck with him, including family. And that's why when people say, oh, family's forever, blah, 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 I'm like, nah, because there are people in your family that, like, I wish I could, like, separate. Not to say, like, oh, it should be a civil war, but I would definitely put myself in that people category, away from the other people category in the family, if I could. But unfortunately, that's why I respect friends more than family, because you build your friends, you can't build your family. You can only build your own family. But even when you try to build your own family, it can still be broken, like mine. And so that's why I respect friendships. I respect friendships a lot, because you can make and break them if you want, when you want. Family you can't make. It kind of gets made. So you can easily break them. But it's like, it's a double-edged sword breaking family. And so I'm pretty sure a lot of people in the Hart family, they have their hearts for him, but at the same time, it's like they know if they even like try, they'll just be wasting their time. And it's a shame, because this film, it seemed like this film producer, like he really had a lot of ideas, and being producers, we have a lot of ideas. We have a lot, and we try to like run with it, but unfortunately for some people, they just, because of the drugs, because of the meth, because of coke or crack, or mostly like these drugs, like mostly the lying drug, which is meth. I know there's a lot of people like to lie a lot when they smoke meth, and they'll even lie, like they'll even like fabricate. They'll even fabricate their meth history. They make it seem like they only do a little bit of it, even though like they were constantly in that basement just blowing it down. But like you always see people, you always can find the weed spot. You have to kind of search for that meth spot. That's kind of the thing, and that's why like I've never like know where a meth spot is, because those are things that you have to search for. I'm pretty sure like my neighbor, I'm sure, but to be honest, that's none of my business. That's way past my jurisdiction, and that's kind of how it is for everybody else. That's kind of their jurisdiction, so like what they want to choose to do. It's just a shame because there's so many good people. There's so many good people up there trying to do good for people that sometimes don't want to do good for themselves. They just don't. And then even though like they find themselves getting out of certain scenarios through grit, grind, and struggle and triumph, somehow, some way, they always put themselves in positions where like they can't possibly succeed, and then like put themselves in positions where they find themselves going right back to the very things that keep them down. But that's kind of what you notice with this documentary too, is that no matter how much it seemed like it seems like Teddy Hart was gonna put himself in a better position. He's always putting himself in a worse position. Like he just never left. And it's crazy how much people praise the ones that usually don't need praising. No matter how good you are, no matter how great of an athlete you can be, when you dunk yourself, when you put yourself in unprofessional lights, when you put yourself in positions where you harm others, like you gotta let it go. It's just that documentary, it blew my mind because I wasn't even trying to. If only shoot the job.
Hi.
But man, and then what's crazy is that like one of the girls ended up missing, like one of his girlfriends ended up missing, but that's in the next episode. I'm pretty sure like probably has something to do with the cartels. I don't know, but when trouble surrounds a person, sometimes it's best not to be around that person, including me. I'm not saying that I'm a saint. Trouble always finds me, but somehow, some way, people always find themselves attracted to me. But the one thing about me versus like most of the others is that I say trouble finds me, but it's not like I put myself in positions to put myself in trouble. You know, like usually like I'm taking things kind of fresh, and I'm being optimistic as much as possible until it's not time to be optimistic. Hey. Like, this reminds me of Ted, but he's not like answering like smartass. He's not like smartass remarks stuff. Man, I can't believe that a 10-year documentary. But it's not even like a 10-year documentary. It's not even like a reality series. It's basically oh, that's what it's not a docu. It's not a docu. It's like basically like Hogan Knows Best kind of deal. It's like a Hogan Knows Best, but with Teddy. But the only difference between Hogan and Terry is that Teddy, not Terry. The difference between Hogan and Teddy is that Hogan is a household name that was gonna appear on VH1. Teddy was an underground name that wasn't. I mean, he had name value. You know, he's a Hart, but ugh. Let me get some more of that choco drink. I don't know what the fuck it's called, but it's delicious. I just wish that Yeah. Ugh. Whoops. I did it right the whole time, and then like it's like, oh, you want to ask a question, and then I forgot to think the. But here's the problem. Here's my whole thing with the drug scene. Marijuana is gonna be so bland and boring. Marijuana's gonna be so bland and boring that like anybody and their grandma at 80 some years old is gonna be smoking weed. That's cool. Yo, I spend on that beat again. Yo, ask me right now. Here's my opinion. Yo, I spend on that beat again. You start calling me Vita because you my Vita. Marijuana's gonna be so bland and boring. Everybody's gonna be doing it, including teenage kids legally. It's gonna be completely legal for everybody. You know, it should be like it should be treated like coffee. Yo, I spend on that beat. I'm back. Let me So yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, marijuana is gonna be to the point everybody's gonna be doing it all over the world. It's gonna be legal. The only place that's not gonna do it are countries that's gonna hate. Like countries that's gonna hate on marijuana because America is the first ones to make it legal, like from border to border. They're not the first one, so they're gonna hate. Like, oh, we're not gonna legalize marijuana because you know we're a bunch of haters. But as far as like when it comes to actual like the drug, like unfortunately it's gonna be meth. It's easy to make, and then like I'm already here like this like synthetic meth, and I'm like, because the only synthetic drugs like I can think of is synthetic weed. And when I remember smoking spice, I didn't really feel much. My fascination for PlayStation demo games was pretty high, I'll admit that. But for the most part, it wasn't something that like I'll get into. I didn't even know where I can find any. And plus, I wasn't gonna be that guy that was gonna like find like Marine Corps was gonna find spice. I wasn't gonna be that guy because I would have been that guy, and I wouldn't have the life I have now if I like dedicated my life to spice. Oh, I dedicated my career to spice. Like, nah, I'm good. I'll just wait when I get out. And yeah. So like when I hear about synthetic meth, I'm like, why would you have synthetic meth? Unless like this is for like addicts that's trying to quit. Maybe they're trying to like find a prototype for addicts that like need to quit but can't quit. But it's kind of hard to get a line addict to try something that's a knockoff when he can lie and say he ain't smoked meth and smoke meth. That's what they do. I mean, you can, some people can, like, have you ever asked, like, a pothead, like, oh, have you smoked, are you lying about smoking pot? And then they're saying, and they're trying to hide their, like, kindness. They're, like, deliberately trying to hide it. So that's gonna be like the drug, but like the problem with meth versus like weed is that you can smoke weed and be like, yeah, I'm smoking some natural shit, and then there's some liquid shit, it might have like a few substances, things like that, but for the most part, legit shit. But a lot of marijuana is natural. Meth is a chemical. So I can't do that. So I should check this place out. Oh. Man, I need to make more money. But in order to do that, I gotta go to that Chambray. And then we get into this era where we're trying to like neutralize everybody. We're trying to like basically normalize this perception that Americans are just as evil as some third world country. And I'll tell you right now, there's a difference between the education system in certain places. There's some countries that even have bragging rights to say that they're better than we are in certain aspects. But But we can't just sit there and say like every country is just as good or better than America, especially if they don't know nothing, haven't been nowhere, haven't studied nothing, and haven't really explored nothing. They're just going off of trend. They're going off of thread. Because you allow them to. They'll sit there and, yeah. Black Lives Matter. Even though they don't give a shit about Black Lives at all. They don't even give a shit about any of that racist shit. It's just something to say. It's just something for people to get, like, wild about. Oh, that's what I was saying. Oh. And so you have a lot of smart people, and that's another problem too. A lot of smart people are being discredited because, they don't have value sources, or they just kind of speak out of tongue, and then you got them saying, it's just my opinion, it's just my opinion. And I even found myself like arguing these things online. Like, I don't just go on Twitter just to spit opinion. What's the point of spitting opinion? Like, if you're sitting there, you're trying to be like, I don't need to be an opinionator. I can have an opinion on stuff, but if I'm gonna have an opinion on stuff, I'll flat out just say, in my opinion. But if I'm speaking in theory, or I'm speaking in some form of tone that resembles something, I didn't realize I was going to get into a fight, but cool. I got into a fight. I like the other town better. I like Regima's town better because energy. Anyone that does lean, that cough syrup shit, or you're doing it outside of your prescription, you should stop. But it's too late. So that should've break down your organs. I've watched a lot of people break down because of that stuff. I almost wanted to take that stuff. I almost wanted to do it with the splash and coke. I never got into it really. I never thought about buying cough syrup just to mix it in my drink and laugh at it. Honestly, like I'll tell you this: if you're going to therapy and your therapist prescribes you any medicine, I say don't even drink it. Don't drink it. Just leave it be, because that shit'll fucking. That shit'll fuck with your mind. Alright, I can still go to September. That's just what I'm about to do. I need to make some money. In order to do that, I need to start doing cabarets. Damn, that's pretty cheap to go all the way on the other side of town. Like, alright, I know for me, okay. I'm a big fan of hanging out with children. Like, honestly, having my daughter, that was like the greatest feeling in the world. Losing her, like, that was a big blow. But prior to losing her, I'm able to gain new children through my what is it? Oh, it's down there. Yeah. My woman, her grandkids, and just hanging around with them. It's a great feeling. It reminds me of like how it is to be young again. But at the same time, personally, there's you gotta be careful. And this is something I've learned being a parent. I don't want to expose too much reality into it. I want her to explore more fantasy as much as possible. Be a child, explore your mind. Why? Because there's nothing special about being young. That's me personally saying this. It's nothing special at all. You won't even miss it. You don't even miss much of the adult life. The only things I miss the most is like being a parent. That's that a lot. Other than that, dealing with the bullshit, the scrutiny, dealing with drama, people trying to eat off of you and then they want to take away from you. It's I don't need all that. But that being said, just healing. A lot of my healing is just facing my problems every single day. Like I face them every single day. I try not to ignore them because when I ignore them, I don't think about it, and I don't want to like just go periods of time not thinking about her. Like, you know, that's my mini. So like even if I gotta go through the pain, I'm gonna think about it. Yeah, this should be a package for me. Where the fuck is my package? Motherfucker. Fuck. Interesting. So, interesting. What's that package? And then like to anybody like still using steroids, stop. I understand it's a quick fix. There's plenty of enhancement powder. They work. Trust me. They're not as addictive. You don't have to like feel no rush to your veins or nothing like that. Actually, I'm gonna take a walk around town and see if I can see any girls that maybe want a job. I forgot. And it's funny because like I'm so used to Yakuza Zero, or excuse me, Yakuza Zero. I'm so used to it that I think like I have all this money in the world because I'm so used to like having billions and billions of dollars in that game, and the fact that like I could sit there and buy out all these businesses just so I can gain some fandom for my cabaret club, which I have to start running because I need to. Once I start running that bitch. Sunshine. It's so weird because Club Sunshine is the club that like I ran originally in Yakuza Zero, and I ran it like a champ. Ran like a champ I am. Seemed like it was. What's the photo booth? Who's the photo booth? Oh, it's on top of that. I'll go. Oh, it's a karaoke bar. Alright, I'm going on some cabaret. I'm going on some time on cabarets. Oh, before I do though, I need to say, but here's the deal. And I'll wrap this up in about an hour. Look, when it comes to this therapy stuff, utilize our children a lot. Like, gain their innocence. Make, like, be happy with them. Yeah, you can be strict, you can be tough, but there's no reason to, like, feel the need to, like, find relief elsewhere than, like, with our children. If we're not happy with our children, then what are we doing? Like, I sat back and I wait for the day that she comes back in my life. Like, I said I'll continue to wait because, damn, it's a while. It takes a while waiting. But yeah, man, like, there's no reason to tend to any form of drugs. No reason to tend to anything for like therapy. Oh wait, yeah, I say it. Yeah. Don't just settle for family because family forever. If you have issues with your family, you have issues with your family. Don't just settle for them because settling is only gonna like prevent you from being truly happy because you're stuck with people you're settling with, and you're stuck with people that's not gonna bring you joy. Absolute joy is gonna bring problems in your life. You don't wanna keep having problems can occur in your life because then you find yourself just stuck. You're stuck trying to like pursue happiness. You'll never pursue it. But then you tell yourself, well, that's the life. You never pursue happiness, but I'm happy with the bare minimum I have. That's what society wants you to do. No, achieve as much happiness as you possibly can because you just never know. You never know how much you being happy means to them when they see you and it's your last dying day. Like they love you. And they love you at your best, and you're only at your best when you open your heart a lot more and you don't live with any form of fear whatsoever, knowing that you can go tomorrow, but guess what? I'm happy, I'm alright, and my family's gonna be alright. And, you know, just follow my lead, and I promise you I'll take you there. And yeah, as long as you have that, you should be alright. You shouldn't need no pills, you shouldn't need no drugs, you shouldn't need nothing to really keep you satisfied. Like even, like I'll tell you right now, the weed, yeah, I do smoke it a lot when I get stressed. I do smoke it when I get sad. But a lot of the times it's really for passage of time. When I smoke, it's just so like I can numb myself to like not think about stuff that I can't worry about anymore. So I'm gonna worry about it, and if I can just like relieve it, just so I can just fast forward, because that's all I'm doing. If I can fast forward, that's what I'm gonna do. It's a lot easier doing that than to do it sober, because when I do sober, um, it's like I'm stuck on that thought, and all I'm doing is just putting a lot of stress and strain on my body. And so what the marijuana does is like make sure that I don't put too much stress and strain on my body. Well, I'm gonna eventually do it anyway, but the purpose is not to put stress and strain on my body. And so I do the best I can. But for the most part, like I usually smoke when like I'm just kind of chilling. I'm just like passing through time and things like that. And like that's when I smoke the most. You know, like right now I'm smoking, I'm chilling, talking. But you know, to some it's like it's the same thing. But for me, it's like I smoke because you know it helps me feel myself when I'm like thinking about other shit. Like I can smoke and I'll be like, damn, I'm this shit, and I don't even realize like I don't even realize I'm feeling that way. But yeah, I get that when I get that feeling it's because yeah, I feel like I'm the shit. But at the same time, like that's just like me being in my own zone, me being by myself. I can feel that way. But if I was to tell you like, damn, if you can't do it sober, you know, what would you recommend? Me personally, um, I recommend something that's as natural as something that's as natural as milk. No, something that's as natural as like if you can do something that's natural, that's what I recommend the most. A lot of prescription pills aren't natural. Marijuana is natural, but you don't have to smoke marijuana. You can drink milk. You know, like for me, milk makes me a little wholesome. I'm humble, a little more humble, a little more relaxed. But you know, I'm not saying like, oh yeah, you should always drink milk. But like, just find natural things to like indulge in your body before like you put chemicals in your body. Because once you start putting chemicals in your body, like what you're doing is poisoning your body, and you don't want to do that. Some people do, and that's a shame. You have to only wish for the best for them. I can't say anymore. that's another portion of the video because that's going into a little bit more Yakuza, and so I'm definitely not gonna get into that right yet. But in the meantime, hopefully, take better care of yourself. Try not to get into anything that's chemical related, chemical compound, anything chemical. Try to go as natural as possible. Yeah, I'm talking about foods too, but not everything can be organic. So try to go as natural as possible, especially with medicine, because that shit will fuck your head up. Anyways, hopefully you guys are alright. Buenas noches. Peace out. And voila.